French game did you choose to play this month?
I've actually been playing a game that's not out yet.
Yeah.
It's a game in early access.
Oh, okay.
Which I never play. I never do this. But I've been playing the Rogue Prince of Persia.
Oh, it's pretty in your wheelhouse, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, it like the announcement for it came really out of the blue, following hot on the heels of the announcement and subsequent release of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Announced to be the next big game by Evil Empire, one of the developers of Dead Cells. It looks set to be a very similar sort of setup with side-scrolling action, platforming, roguelite action in the world of Prince of Persia. It came out in early access pretty soon after, and like I said, I don't usually play games in early access, and I was more enamoured with the prospect of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown that my interest in the Rogue Prince of Persia was dulled a little bit. However, if you can remember, a few months back at the start of the year, I bought, played, finished, and forgot about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which was a adequate Metroidvania, with all right action and platforming, but it also had terrible writing, fairly unoriginal mechanics, too many bugs, and drab presentation to really stick in my memory. And I thought that if this is meant to be the new standard for Prince of Persia games, I just probably wouldn't bother dipping my feet in the Rogue pool too soon. But then I thought I'd make an exception for this because, as you know, Dead Cells is, well, French for a start. I needed to play something from France, and there just weren't enough games to choose from.
No, very limited to stock.
But as you know, like, Dead Cells is one of my very, very favourite games. It is a masterclass in action, platforming, rogueliting, design, everything. Extraordinary game. And I wanted to see just how much of a departure the Rogue Prince of Persia was from that formula, and also how it measured up to The Lost Crown, and to see, like, you know, what sort of potential the game had, even in its early access form. Even though I wasn't that taken with The Lost Crown, I've always been really fond of the Prince of Persia series. So here we are. Rogue Prince of Persia may as well have been DLC for Dead Cells because it's the same game.
Yeah.
What French game did you play? No, it's not quite that derivative, but there is a tenuous story. It unfolds piecemeal between runs as you stumble upon different characters, slowly populate your hub area of the Oasis. It feels like it's trying to take a bit of a leaf out of Hades' book, but the writing really needs to be razor sharp for that to work. And this hasn't really grabbed me, but then it's fine. You know, I'm not really playing this game for the story. But I really do wish that the Rogue Prince of Persia played and felt more like Dead Cells, because this doesn't feel anywhere near as precise, clear, or satisfying to control by quite some margin. The movement mechanics are a bit different, including a wall run mechanic that you have, meaning you can run about on certain sections when you can see a wall in the background. It's usually fairly obvious where this is, but not always. It just feels like a really woolly implementation of a mechanic that works much, much better in 3D. I'd rather just have a double jump. Combat in Rogue Prince of Persia it's fine. You've got several different weapons and alternate weapons to find and choose from, play about with. It feels decently crunchy, but it does certainly lack something that, I don't know, I just haven't quite put my finger on. I don't really like the dodging system in this, because you sort of do a vault over the enemies, which I find difficult to read when there's lots going on. And then you have the ability to stun enemies by kicking them into each other or into a wall. And that works fine as a mechanic, but again, it's just tricky to read at times, especially when there are enemies with protective auras that can't be kicked until their shields are broken down. And I mean, this is all stuff that perhaps will come in time when I've got a bit better and more familiar with the game. But I don't have that sense of feeling like I'm in full control of how I'm playing, and that's always really frustrating, because, like, if I die or something catches me out, I'm just like, really? I feel like I did anything wrong there, you know. But yeah, stage designs are identical to Dead Cells. It's exactly the same way they work. They're obviously procedurally generated maps with branching paths. There'll be a shop, you know, there's treasure chests from other characters. Then you've got walk points so you can travel about, and then some different exits to choose which route you take through a run and which biomes you feel like tackling. like the biomes I've played so far, then they're nice, they're varied, and I'm looking forward to getting further into the game to see how much more complex and developed some of the other biomes are, and also to see what bosses and character upgrades and enemies and all of that are beyond the first big robot boss, which I still haven't managed to beat yet. On the Steam store, it says that the Rogue Prince of Persia is unsupported on Steam Deck, but I've actually had no issues with it whatsoever. I capped the frame rate at 45 frames per second, which is what Steam Deck HQ recommended, and it runs pretty smoothly. There's some frame rate drops that happen in your starting hub area. It doesn't happen when you're in an overcrowded combat situation, so it doesn't really bother me at all. I don't really like the art style they've gone for. It's weird. Like I can sort of see what they're going for, and it comes off looking cheap rather than stylish. I'm not sure like the visuals are going to be beefed up in future updates, but I'm not really convinced by the aesthetics so far. Did you play? Is it Ollie Ollie World?
I played one stage of it, possibly on your Switch at some point.
Very possibly. That feels like what it's trying to do. It's that sort of art style. It's sort of like somewhere between like a Flash animated or Samurai Jack style, heavy silhouette, stylized something, but it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look great.
That's a shame.
It's a shame, but like these criticisms about the minutiae of how the Rogue Prince of Persia feels and how it looks and how it runs, does feel redundant when the game is in early access. It's like people criticizing deleted scenes on a DVD for being disappointing.
Yeah,
it's like the creators know this. It's why the scenes were deleted, and Evil Empire have clearly labelled this game as in early access to invite exactly this feedback.
Yeah.
So you know what you're buying into. But then, like, I remember when I first picked up Dead Cells, which was before the game had 100 expansions and updates, but it was out of early access, and it felt incredible, and it was wonderful to play the game, and then to watch it evolve and expand over time. And there seems to be a lot of content already in the Rogue Prince of Persia, and I'm going to keep plugging away at it because it's good enough. Yeah, it's good enough, and I'll continue to report back on how it continues to shape up. I don't know if I can be bothered to like join the Discord and actually feedback stuff because I just don't really like those sort of environments, and I'm sure I don't have anything original to say. That hasn't been said.
Said in the episode. Just say in the episode.
I'll tag them in it.
Yeah.
The feedback's there if they want it. It's
their
decision.
If they want to listen, it's right there.
Honestly, I'm probably enjoying it more than I enjoyed The Lost Crown.
Yeah.
Which just really underwhelmed me. And, whilst we wait for this to reach its final version, we can also enjoy waiting for the long-promised remake of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
Never going to
happen. I know. It's a franchise with so much great potential, and I feel that it hasn't delivered in a really long time. It's not like nothing's been a car crash disaster, but I don't know. But don't play the original because that's just horrible to play. You have an hour to beat it. One wrong button press.
Oh, the original Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
So I thought you were talking about Sands of Time.
No, Sands of Time is amazing.
Yeah.
Shut up.
That's what I assumed you were going to say.
Yeah, it's brilliant.